Act 2, Scene 3-2 of Faust, Part 2, by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, translated by Bayard Taylor. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 2, Scene 3-2, Peneus, surrounded with nymphs and tributary streams.
Stir yourselves, ye whispering rushes, rustle slender willow bushes, sister reeds, breathe softer, crisper, trembling poplar branches, whisper to the interrupted dream. Fearful premonitions wake me, secret shudders thrill and shake me in my rippling, sleeping stream.
Faust, advancing to the river.
Here, behind the vines that dangle, o'er the thicket's bowery tangle, if I heard aright, were noises similar to human voices. Babbling seemed the wave to patter, and the breeze in sport to chatter.
Nymphs to Faust.
For thee were it better to lie here reviving, in coolness thy body, outwearied with striving. The rest that eludes thee to taste and be free, will rustle and murmur, and whisper to thee.
I am awake! Let them delay me, the incomparable forms, and sway me, as yonder to my sight confessed. How strangely am I moved, how nearly! Are they but dreams, or memories merely? Already once was I so blessed, beneath the swaying bushes hiding. The full, fresh waves are softly gliding. They scarcely rustle on their path. 100 founts from all sides hasten to fill a pure and sparkling basin. The hollowed level of a bath, the fair young limbs of woman trouble, the watery glass that makes them double, and doubles, thus, their eyes' delight, in joyous bath each other aiding, or boldly swimming, shyly wading. Then cry, and splash, and foamy fight. It were enough, the picture viewing, my healthy eyesight here renewing. Yet I desire the still unseen. My gaze would pierce through yonder cover, whose leafy wealth is folded over, the vision of the stately queen. Strange! Across the crystal skimming, from the coves the swans are swimming, moving in majestic state, floating calmly and united, but how proud and self-delighted. Head and neck they lift elate. One, his feathers proudly pluming, boldly on his grace presuming, leads the others in the race. With his whitest plumage showing, wave-like on the wave he's throwing, speeds he to the sacred place. The others back and forth together swim on with smoothly shining feather, and soon in mimic battle met shall chase aside the maids affrighted, till, for their own protection slighted, their bounden service they forget.
Sisters, bend and lay the ear on the turf beside the river. Sound of hooves, if right I hear, swift approaching, seems to shiver. Would I knew whose rapid flight brings a message to the night.
As I think, the earth is ringing, from a charger hither springing. See there! See there! A fortune comes most fair. Shall I attain its blessing? Oh, marvel past expressing! A rider trots towards us free. Spirit and strength in him I see, upon a snow-white steed careering. I know him now. I hail with awe the famous son of Philyra. Halt, Chiron, halt! I've something for thy hearing.
What then? What is it?
Thy course, delay.
I rest not.
Take me with thee then, I pray.
Mount, and I thus can ask, at leisure, whither thy way. Thou standest on the shore. I'll bear thee through the flood with pleasure.
Faust, mounting.
Whither thou wilt, I thank thee evermore, the mighty man, the pedagogue, whose place and fame it was to teach a hero race, the splendid circle of the Argonauts, and all whose deeds make quick the poet's thoughts.
We will not further speak of these, as Mentor, Even Pallas is not venerated. And, after all, they manage as they please, as if they'd not been educated.
The leech, who knoweth flower and fruit, whose lore can sound the deepest root, who heals the sick and soothes the wounded place, him, here, in mind and body I embrace.
When heroes, near me, felt the smart, my helpful knowledge failed them seldom, but, at the last, I left mine art to priest and simple gathering bedlam.
Thy speech the true great man betrays, who cannot hear a word of praise. His modesty would fain confound us, to think his equals still were round us.
Thou seemest skilled to feign such matter, people and prince alike to flatter.
But surely thou wilt grant me, that thou the greatest of thy time didst see, upon their paths of proud achievement trod, and lived thy days a serious demigod, among those grand, heroic forms of old, whom didst thou for the best and worthiest hold?
Of those beneath the Argonaut's bright banner, each worthy was in his particular manner, and by the virtue of his strength selective, sufficed therein where others were defective. Castor and Pollux were as victors hailed, where beauty and the grace of youth prevailed. Decision, the swift deed, for others' aid, gave the fair crown before the Boreads laid. Reflective, prudent, strong in counsel wise, so Jason ruled, delight of women's eyes. Then Orpheus, gentle, silent, brooding, lowering, but when he struck the lyre, all overpowering. Sharp-sighted Licinius, who by day and dark through shoreward breakers steered the sacred bark. Danger is best endured where men are brothers. When one achieves, then praise him all the others.
But Hercules, thy speech is wronging.
Ah me! Awaken not my longing. I had not seen, in fields Elysian, how Phoebus, Ares, Hermes shine, but there arose before my vision a form that all men called divine, a king by birth, as ne'er another, a youth magnificent to view, though subject to his elder brother, and to the loveliest women too. No second such has Gaia granted, nor he be led to heaven again. For him the songs are vainly chanted, the marble hewn for him in vain.
Though ever to his form addicted, his grace the sculptors could not wreck, the fairest man hast thou depicted. Now of the fairest woman, speak!
What? Little worth is woman's beauty? So oft an image dumb we see. I only praise in loving duty a being bright and full of glee, for beauty in herself delighteth, and irresistibly she smiteth when sweetly she with grace uniteth, like Helena when I bore her.
Her didst thou bear?
This back she pressed.
Was I not wild enough before? And now such seat! Oh, to make me blessed!
Just so she grasped me by the hair, as thou dost.
Oh, I scarcely dare to trust my senses. Tell me more. She is my only aspiration. Whence didst thou bear her? To what shore?
Not difficult is the relation. 'Twas then, when came the Dioscuri bold, to free their sister from the robber's hold. But these, accustomed not to be subdued, regained their courage, and in rage pursued. The swamps below Elysius did impede the brothers and the sisters' flying speed. The brothers waded, splashing through the reed. I swam, and then off she sprang, and pressing me on the wet mane, caressing me, she thanked with sweetly wise and conscious tongue. How charming was she, dear to age, so young.
But 7 years old.
Philologists, I see, even as they cheat themselves, have cheated thee. 'Tis curious, with your mythologic dame, the poet takes her when he needs her name. She grows not old, stays ever young and warm, and of the most enticing form. Seduced in youth, in age enamouring still. Enough, no time can bind the poet's will.
Then let no bonds of time be thrown around her. even as on Pheres' isle Achilles found her, beyond the bounds of time. What blessing rare, in spite of fate, such love to win and wear! And shall not I, by mightiest desire, unto my life that sole fair form acquire, that shape eternal, peer of gods above, tender as grand, sublime as sweet with love? Thou saw'st her once, today I saw her beam, the dream of beauty, beautiful as dream. My soul, my being, now is bound and chained. I cannot live unless she be attained.
Thou, stranger, feel'st as man such ecstasy. Among us spirits, mad thou seem'st to be. Yet, as it haps, thy fortune now is omened, for every year, though only for a moment, it is my wont to call on Manto's dwelling. She, Asclepius' child, whose prayers are swelling unto her father, that his fame to brighten, the brains of doctors he at last enlighten, and them from rashly dealing death may frighten. I like her best of all the guild of Sibyls, helpful and kind, with no fantastic fribbles. She hath the art, if thou the time canst borrow, with roots of power to give thee healing thorough.
But I will not be healed, my aim is mighty. I will not be like others, meanly, flighty.
The noble fountain's cure neglect thou not, but quick dismount, we've reached the spot.
And whither, in this dreary night, hast thou to land through pebbly rivers brought me now?
Here Roman Greece in battle tried their powers, here flows Peneus, there Olympus towers. The greatest realm that e'er was lost in sand, the monarch flies, the conquering burghers stand. Look up and see, in moonlight shining clear, the memorable eternal temple near.
Manto, dreaming within.
From horse hoofs tremble the sacred steps of the temple. The demigods draw near.
Quite right. Open your eyes and see who's here.
Manto, awakening.
Welcome! Thou dost not fail, I see.
And still thy temple stands for thee.
And speedest thou still unremitting.
And thou in peaceful calm art sitting, while I rejoice in restless heels?
I wait, and time around me wheels. And he?
The vortex of this night hath whirled him hither to thy sight. Helen, with mad distracted senses, Helen he'd win by all pretences, and knows not how or where the task commences, but he deserves the Aesculapian cure.
To whom the impossible slew, I love.
Chiron is already far away.
Rush on, advance, there's joy for thee. This dark way leads thee to Persephone. Under Olympus' hollow foot, secret she waits prohibited salute. I smuggled Orpheus into her, of old. Use thy chance better, on, be bold.
They descend. End of Act 2, Scene 3-2. Act 2, Scene 3-3 of Faust, Part 2, by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, translated by Bayard Taylor. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 2, Scene 3-3 on the Upper Peneus, as before.
Sirens.
Plunging cool Peneus' wave, there 'tis well to sport in swimming, songs with chorded voices hymning, that the ill-starred folk we save. Health is none where water fails. Let our hosts with sounding paean hasten to the blue Aegean, where each joy shall swell our sails.
Earthquake.
Back the frothy wave is flowing, now no longer downward going. Shakes the bed, the waters roar, cracks and smokes the stony shore. Let us fly, come everyone, by this marvel profit none. Leave, ye guests, this wild commotion, for the cheerful sports of ocean, shining where the quivering reaches, lightly heaving, bathe the beaches. There, where Luna's double splendor freshens us with night dews tender, there the freest life delights us. Here the threatening earthquake frights us. Who is prudent? Haste away. Fearful is it here to stay.
Seismus, growling and jolting in the depths.
Once again the force applying, bravely with the shoulders prying, we to get above are trying, where to us must all give way.
Sphinxes.
What a most repulsive shaking, terrible and hideous quaking, what a quivering and shocking, hither rolling, thither rocking, what vexation and dismay! But we shall not change our station, we're all hell in agitation. Now behold a dome upswelling, wonderful, 'tis he compelling, he the hoary antiquated, he who Delia's isle created, bidding it from ocean break, for the childed woman's sake. He with all his force expended, rigid arms and shoulders bended, like an Atlas in his gesture, pushes up the earth's green vesture, loam and grit and sand and shingle, where the shore and river mingle. Thus our valleys blossom quiet, crosswise tears he in his riot. In unwearied force defiant, he, a caryatid giant, bears a fearful weight of boulders, buried still below his shoulders. But no further shall be granted, for the Sphinx's hair are planted.
The work alone I've undertaken, the credit will be given to me. Had I not jolted, shoved, and shaken, how should this world so beauteous be? How stood aloft your mountains ever, in pure and splendid blue of air, had I not heaved with huge endeavour, till they like pictures charm you there? When, where ancestral memory brightens, old night and chaos saw me sore betrayed, and in the company of Titans, with Pelion and Ossa as with balls we played. None could in ardent sport of youth surpasses, until, outwearied at the last, even as a double cap upon Parnassus his summits wickedly we cast. Apollo now upon that mount of wonder finds with the Muses his retreat. For even Jove, and for his bolts of thunder, I heaved and held the lofty seat. Thus have I forced the fierce resistance, and struggled upward from the deep, and summoned now to new existence the joyous dwellers of the steep.
'Tis true the hill would seem primeval, and warranted of old stand, had we not witnessed its upheaval, toiling and towering from the land. A bushy forest spreading clothes its face, and rooks on rocks are pressing to their place. A sphinx therefrom is by no fear o'ertaken, we shall not let our sacred seats be shaken.
Griffins.
Golden spangled leaf and spark glimmers through the fishes dark. Quick, lest others should detect it, haste ye emmets and collect it.
Chorus of emmets.
Upward have thrown it, as they, the giant ones, quick-footed, pliant ones, climb it and own it, rapidly in and out. In each such fissure is every crumb about, wealth for the wisher. Seek for them greedily, even the slightest. Everywhere speedily gather the brightest. Diligent be and bold, swarm to the fountain. Only bring in the gold. Heed not the mountain.
Come in, the treasure heap.
Our claws upon it we shall keep.
The most efficient bolts they are, the greatest wealth they safely bar.
Pygmies.
Verily, here we sit securely. How it happened is not clear. Ask not whence we came, for surely 'tis enough that we are here. Unto life's delighted dwelling suitable is every land. Where a rifted rock is swelling, also is the dwarf at hand. Male and female, busy, steady, We as mortals would suffice. Who can tell if such already laboured so in paradise? Here our lot as best we measure, and our star of fate is blessed. Mother Earth brings forth with pleasure, in the east as in the west.
Dactyls.
If she in a single night the pygmies brought to light, pygmies of all she'll create yet, and each finds his mate yet.
Pygmy elders.
Be ye in haste conveniently placed, labour and lead strength unto speed. Peace is yet with ye, build now the smithy, the host be arrayed with armour and blade. Emmets laborious, working victorious, scorning to settle, furnish us metal. Dactyls your host, smallest and most, hear the requiring, bring wood for the firing, heap in the chambers, fuel untiring, furnish us embers.
Generalissimo.
With arrow and bow encounter the foe. By yonder tanks the heron ranks, the countless nested, the haughty-breasted, at one quick blow shoot and bring low, all together that we may feather our helmets so.
Emmets and dactyls.
Who now will
save us? We bring the iron and chains enslave us. To break our fetters, we're now defiant. We bide our season, meanwhile be pliant.
The cranes of Ibycus.
Murdered cries and moans of dying, startled wings that flap and fly. What lament, what pain and fright pierces to our airy height.
All have fallen in the slaughter, reddening with their blood the water. Pygmy lust, misformed and cruel, robs the heron of his jewel. On their helms the plumage waves, yonder fat-pouched bow-legged knaves. Comrades of our files of motion, serried wanderers of ocean, you we summon to requital, in a cause to you so vital. Strength and blood let no one spare, endless hate to them we swear.
They disperse, croaking in the air. Mephistopheles on the plain.
With ease the northern witches I controlled, but o'er these foreign sprites no power I hold. The Blocksberg is a most convenient place. Howe'er one strays, one can his path retrace. Dame Ilse watches for us from her stone, and Henry sits upon his mountain throne. The snorers snarl at Elend, snorting peers, and all is finished for 1,000 years. But here, who knows if, even where he stand, beneath his feet may not puff up the land. I cheerily wander through a level glade, and all at once, behind me heaved, is made a mountain, scarcely to be called so, true. Yet high enough the sphinxes from my view to intercept. Still many a fire flares out adown the vale, the mad concern about. Still dance and hover, beckoning and retreating, the gay groups round me with their knavish greeting, but gently now, for spoiled by stealthy pleasure, one always seeks to snatch some dainty treasure.
Lamia, drawing Mephistopheles after them.
Quicker and quicker, and further take him, then hesitating, chattering and prating. 'Tis fun to make him, old sinful tricker, follow behind us. To penance comes he. With halt-foot clumsy, he marches hobbling, and forwards wobbling. His leg he trails. In haste to find us, we fly. He fails.
Mephistopheles standing still.
Accursed fate! Deceived as oft, since Adam's time seduced and scoffed. Though old we grow, not wisely schooled, enough already I've been fooled. We know how wholly worthless is the race, with body corseted and painted face. Of health responsive own they not a tittle. Where'er one grasps them, every limb is brittle. The thing is known and patent to our glances, and yet, whene'er the trollops pipe, one dances.
Lamia, pausing.
Halt! He reflects, his steps delay. Turn back to meet him, lest he get away.
Mephistopheles striding forwards.
Forwards! The doubt my strength benumbing, I won't encourage foolishly, for were the witches not forthcoming, why, who the devil would devil be?
Lamier, very graciously.
Round this hill lightly moving, let his heart the choice approving, one of us select for loving.
True, in this uncertain lustre, see me fair maids in a cluster, fain would I to you be juster.
Empusa, pressing forwards.
Not me, too? I'm also fitted, in your train to be admitted.
She's one too many, for, in short, she always ruins all our sport.
Empusa to Mephistopheles.
Empusa, with the ass's foot, thy cousin dear gives thee salute. Only a horse's hoof is thine, and yet, sir cousin, greeting fine.
Strangers I hear anticipated, and find, alas, my near related. The old tale, instances by dozens, from Harz to Hellas, always cousins.
I act with promptness and decision, in many forms could meet thy vision, yet in thy honour now instead, have I put on the ass's head.
Great things I see are here portended, thus with the race as kinsmen blended. Let come what may, since I have known her, the ass's head I'd fain disown her.
Leave her, the ugly. She doth scare whatever lovely seems and fair. Whatever was lovely, fair to see, when she comes, ceases so to be.
These cousins also, soft, delicious, are one and all to me suspicious. I fear beneath their cheeks of roses some metamorphosis reposes.
But try, take hold, for we are many, and if thou hast a lucky penny, secure thyself the highest prize. What means thy wanton organ grinding? A wretched wooer 'tis we're finding, yet swaggest thus, and seems so wise. Now one of us will he lay hand on, so by degrees your masks abandon, and show your natures to his eyes.
The fairest here have I selected.
Clasping her.
Oh, what a broomstick! Unexpected!
Grasping another.
And this one? Vilest countenance!
Think not thou art worth a better chance.
That little one, she warms my gizzard, but through my hand she slips, a lizard, her smooth braids snaky-like entwine. I try the tall one, yet she worse is. I only grasp a bacchic thyrsus, the head a scaly cone of pine. What follows next? Behold a fat one, perhaps I'll find delight in that one. So once for all the chance renew. The Turks, for one so puffy, flabby, would pay a price by no means shabby. But the puffball bursts in two.
Now scatter widely, hovering, feigning, in lightning-like dark flight enchaining the interloping witch's son. Uncertain circles, awful poiseless, horrid batwings, flying noiseless. He scapes too cheaply when it's done.
Mephistopheles, shaking himself.
I've not become, it seems, a great deal shrewder. The North's absurd, 'tis here absurder, ruder. The spectres here preposterous as there, people and poets shallow wear. This masquerade resembles quite, as everywhere, a dance of appetite. I sought a lovely masked procession, and caught such things, I stood aghast. I'd give myself a false impression, if this would only longer last.
Losing himself among the rocks.
Where am I then, and whither sped? There was a path, 'tis now a dread. By level ways I've wandered hither, where rubble now is piled together. I clamber up and down in vain, where shall I find my Sphinx again? I had not dreamed so mad a sight. A mountain in a single night, a bold witch journey to my thought, their Blocksberg with them they have brought.
Or read from the natural rock.
Come up to me, my mountain old, in its primal force behold. Revere the steep and rocky stairs ascending, where Pindus offshoots with the plain are blending. Unshaken thus I heaved my head, when o'er my shoulders Pompey fled. Beside me this elusive rock will vanish at the crow of cock. I see such fables oft upthrown, and suddenly again go down.
Honour to thee, thou reverend head, with strength of oak engarlanded. The clearest moonlight never cleaves the darkness of your crowded leaves. I see between the bushes go a light with unpretending glow. How all things fit and balance thus! 'Tis verily Homunculus. Now whence thy way, thou little lover?
From place to place I flit and hover, and in the best sense I would fain exist, and most impatient am my glass to shatter. But what till now I've witnessed, is then strange if I mistrust the matter? Yet I'll be confidential if thou list. I follow two philosophers this way. 'Twas nature, nature all, I heard them say. I'll cling to them, and see what they are seeing, for they must understand this earthly being, and I'll doubtless learn in season where to betake me with the soundest reason.
Then do it of thy own accord, for here where spectres from their hell come, is the philosopher also welcome, that so his art and favour delectate you, at once a dozen new ones hell create you. Unless thou errest, thou wilt ne'er have sense. Wouldst thou exist, thyself the work commence.
Good counsel also is not to reject.
Then go thy way, we further will inspect.
They separate. Anaxagoras to Thales.
Thy stubborn mind will not be rightened. What else is needful, that thou be enlightened?
To every wind the billows yielding are, yet from the cliff abrupt they keep themselves afar.
By fiery vapours rose this rock you're seeing.
In moisture came organic life to being.
Homunculus between the two.
To walk with you may I aspire? To come to being is my keen desire.
Hast thou, Talus, ever in a night brought forth from mud such mountain to the light?
Nature, the living current of her powers, was never bound to day and night and hours. She makes each form by rules that never fail, and it is not force, even on a mighty scale.
But here it was, plutonic fire, the shaper. Explosive force of huge aeolian vapor broke through the level earth's old crust primeval, and raised the new hill with a swift upheaval.
What further shall their form result? The hill is there, it is well, so let it stand there still. In such a strife one loses leisure precious, yet only leads the patient folk in leashes.
The mountain's rocky clefts at once are peopled thick with myrmidons, with pygmies, emmets, fingerlings, and other active little things.
To Homunculus.
To greatness hast thou ne'er aspired, but lived an eremite retired. Canst thou persuade thy mind to govern? I'll have thee chosen as their sovereign.
What says my Thales?
Will not recommend, for small means only unto small deeds tend, but great means make the small man great. See there, the cranes, with purpose heinous, the troubled populace they menace. And they would menace thus the king, with pointed beaks and talons ample, the little men they pierce and trample. Doom comes already thundering, it was a crime, the heron slaughter, beset amid their peaceful water. But from that rain of arrows deadly, a fell revenge arises redly, and calls the kindred o'er the flood to spill the pygmies' guilty blood. What use for shield and helm and spear, or for the dwarves the heron feather? Dactyl and emmet hide together, their cohorts scatter, seek the rear.
Anaxagoras, after a pause, solemnly.
Though I the subterranean powers approve, yet help in this case must be sought above. Thou aloft, in grace and vigour vernal, tri-named, tri-featured, and eternal, by all my people's woe I cry to thee, Diana, Luna, Hecate, thou breast-expanding one, thou deeply pondering, thou calmly shining one, majestic wandering. The fearful craters of thy shade unseal, and free from spells thine ancient might reveal.
Pause.
Am I too swiftly heard? Has then my cry to yonder sky the course of nature from its orbit stirred? And greater, ever greater, drawing near, behold the goddess's orbed throne appear, enormous, fearful in its grimness, with fires that redden through the dimness. No nearer! disk of dread tremendous, lest thou, with land and sea, to ruin send us. Then were it true, Thessalian Pythonesses, with guilty spells, as song confesses, once from thy path thy steps enchanted, till fatal gifts by thee were granted. The shield of splendor slowly darkles, then suddenly splits, and shines, and sparkles. What rattling and what hissing follow, with roar of winds and thunders hollow! Before thy throne I speak my error. O pardon, I invoked the terror.
Casts himself upon his fate.
How many things can this man see and hear? What happed is not to me entirely clear. I've not, like him, experienced it. The hours are crazy, we'll admit, for Luna calmly shines and free in her high place as formerly.
Look yonder where the pygmies fled, the round hill has a pointed head. I felt a huge rebound and shock, down from the moon had fallen a rock, and then, without the least ado, both foe and friend it smashed and slew. I praise such arts as these that show creation in a night fulfilled, that from above and from below at once this mountain pile could build.
Be still, 'twas but imagined so. Farewell then to the ugly brood. That thou wast not their king is good. Off to the cheerful festals of the sea. There, as a marvellous guest, they'll honour thee.
They depart. Mephistopheles climbing up the opposite side.
Here must I climb by steep and rocky stairways, and roots of ancient oaks, the vilest rare ways. Upon my hearts the resinous atmosphere gives hint of pitch, to me almost as dear as sulphur is. But here among these Greeks, for such a smell one long and vainly seeks. And curious am I, for 'tis worth the knowing, to find wherewith they keep their fires of hell a-going.
Dryad.
At home be wise as it befits thee there. Abroad thou hast no cleverness to spare. Thou shouldest not homeward turn thy mind, but here the honour of the ancient oaks revere.
One thinks on all relinquished there. Use made it paradise, and keeps it fair. But say, what is't, in yonder cave obscure, a crouching triple shape resembling?
The Phorkyads, go there if thou art brave. Address them, if thou canst, untrembling.
Why not? I something see, and am dumbfounded. Proud as I am, I must confess the truth. I've never seen their like, in sooth. Worse than our hags, an ugliness unbounded. How can the deadly sins then ever be found ugly in the least degree, when one this triple dread shall see? We would not suffer them to dwell, even at the dreariest door of hell. But here, in beauty's land, the Greek, they're famed, because they're called antique. They stir, they seem to scent my coming. Like vampire bats, they're squeaking, twittering, humming.
The Phorkyads.
Give me the eye, my sisters, that it spy, who to our temple ventures now so nigh.
Most honoured dame, approaching, by your leave, grant that your triple blessing I receive. I come, though still unknown, yet, be it stated, if I mistake not, distantly related. Old reverend gods already did I see, to Ops and Rhea have I bowed the knee. The Parcae even, your sisters, yesterday, or day before, they came across my way. And yet the like of you ne'er met my sight. Silent am I, and ravished with delight.
This spirit seems to have intelligence.
I am amazed no poet has the sense to sing your praises. Say, how can it be that we no pictures of your beauty see? Should not, through you, the chisel strive to wean us from shapes like those of Juno, Pallas, Venus?
Sunken in solitude and stillest night, the mind of us ne'er took so far a flight.
How should it then, since here, concealed from view, none ever see you, none are seen by you? But choose those dwelling places, and be known, where art and splendour share an equal throne, where swift with double tread, day after day, a marble block as hero walks away, where
cease, and rouse in us no longer vision. What profit if we knew them with precision? We, born in night, akin to gloom alone, unto ourselves almost, to others quite unknown.
In such a case there's little more to say, but oneself to others can convey. One eye supplies you three, one tooth as well. So were it mythologically possible in two the being of the three to cover, and unto me the third fair form make over a short time only.
Will it do, forsooth?
We'll try it, but without or eye or tooth.
Now just the best thing have you taken away. How shall I then the image stem display?
'Tis easily done. Just close one eye, and let thy one side tusk be seen thereby, in profile, thus, with not a trait diminished. Thy sisterly resemblance will be finished.
So be it then.
So be it.
Mephistopheles as Phorkyiad in profile.
Me behold, the much beloved son of Chaos old.
Daughters of Chaos are we, by good right.
Disgrace, they'll call me now Hermaphrodite.
In our new sister triad, what a beauty! 2 eyes have we, 2 teeth for further duty.
Now from all eyes I'll hide this visage fell, to fright the devils in the pool of hell.
Exit. End of Act 2, Scene 3-3.